We've reached stop number 4 of 17 on the ACC football road trip. Up next is NC State. It is going down tonight. So, the Wolfpack, Dave Dorn's 11th season. The Pack finished 9-4, winning at least 8 games in 4 straight seasons for the first time in program history. The Pack, they have numerous incoming transfers, including a new signal caller. Grayson McCall makes the move from coastal Carolina to Raleigh. He passed for more than 1,900 yards and 10 tutties for coastal Carolina. Over 10K over his career for passing. If he's going to hook up with someone, it's got to be the ACC Rookie of the Year, KC Concepcion. And then on the D-line, Davin Van. He will be the key to helping replace a big loss in the offseason, which was Peyton Wilson, who was drafted into the NFL. All right, E-Mac, you got a chance to see Grayson McCall early on during his time at coastal Carolina. What did you see then that really impressed you, and how much has he grown since that moment?
Yeah, man. I saw a winner, right? It was so interesting. That was kind of his come to stardom moment. I'm covering his game as a freshman. He's playing against Louisiana, and he has a walk-off game winner. And just to see that moxie, to see that confidence then, it's only imaginable what he is now and the player that he is now. So he can do it all. Super accurate, a guy that can really throw the long ball. We keep showing, his stats from last year. He was injured. These stats aren't impressive. This dude has over 10,000 yards in his career, over 88 touchdowns. I mean, he's an absolute baller. And quite frankly, guys, I think what's going to make him take NC State to another level is his ability to distribute the ball. NC State has so many weapons. They're going to get it out and expect Grayson to be able to get it to all of them.
All right, so before we talk about the weapons, because you're out there in Raleigh, you got to see them a little bit during fall camp already. When you're watching Grayson now in an NC State uniform with the team, what was your thoughts when you got to watch it live and in color, Mac?
Yeah, just how accurate he was, Tay. I mean, that was one of the things that, just emerged very quickly, kind of jumped off when we were watching him. I was going to say jumped off the screen, but we're here in person. He's dialing it in, and he's threading the needle, making these tight windows. Because listen, NC State's defensive backfield is really good. That is going to be a big point of emphasis for the Wolfpack, and he's just dialing it in there, making some big-time plays. And I think that's something that he's going to need all year long to have that trust that he's already been able to build with those wide receivers.
All right, E-Mac, we mentioned Peyton.
So the playmakers,
Yes.
Go for it, Justin.
Yeah, E-Mac, so we mentioned Peyton. He's one of one, no longer there, now in the NFL, getting a great opportunity. Is it going to be by committee, or is Sean Brown essentially going to take the mantle now?
Yeah, to look at the defensive side of the ball, I think a lot of outsiders are saying that the defense is in Pittsburgh with the Steelers, right? Because you mentioned Peyton Wilson, how good he was. But, Sean Brown is a guy that they are very excited about. He's sliding down into the box from the safety position, really long wingspan, a guy that I think that's going to help him immensely play the position. Very fast, 4'4", 4'3" type of guy, and not afraid of that physicality. The will linebacker spot, you're not really taking on those guards and centers. You might have a tight end in space or one of those guys when they're pulling, but you don't quite have to really worry about that. Cade is another guy, Cade Fordham, that's going to step up and really be able to call the defense. He's just been buying his time, and now it's here. Now he's the guy, and he gets to fully do that and excel in that position.
Yeah, but that's how it kind of works there in Tony Gibson's defense is you wait your turn, and when it's your turn, it's your time to shine. So they expect those things from Cade Fordham. And now I know last year they were high on Sean Brown and heading into the spring, and he's already proven it, it feels like, so far this spring, everything they're saying. Back on the other side, though, when you mentioned the playmakers, he's going to have Grayson McCall more playmakers to distribute the ball to. Who jumped out to you when you were out there watching? I know we talked a little bit about it at kickoff last week, but they have some dudes now.
Yeah, they absolutely do. And it's hard not to just immediately say KC Concepcion, because he did. He pops as well. I mean, he's so fast, so electric. Looks like he gained a little bit of weight, maybe changed his composition, a little bit more muscle. Still as fast as ever. Guys, he's not wearing any gloves. People are too sweaty. There's too much moisture. So he has no gloves on. So that tells me he has surefire hands. And just his swag. I mean, you guys will hear it here in an hour or so tonight.
I can tell.
We were talking. I know it's impressive, but just his confidence that he has was very impressive. Wesley Grimes from Wake Forest, very fast, very quick, a guy that can really make some things happen in some mismatch. Joe Lee, excuse me, the tight end, big. I mean, you talk about mismatch nightmare, a guy that I know Coach Robert and I is going to love to have. You think of Keaton Thompson, you think of Jelani Woods at Virginia, and then lastly, the 5-star that came home, Noah Rogers, the separation he's able to get, the big play ability that he is able to make right now as a redshirt freshman, very impressive. And I expect, again, because of all those guys, KC to kind of just be able to naturally be a star, Tay.
And obviously our resident offensive lineman, the run game has been a problem for NC State over the last couple of years, and Dave Dorn and company will be the first ones to tell you, we got to get a ground game going. They got a running back now in Jordan Waters. I know they like the depth at the position too, but it all starts up front in the trenches with that O-line, EMAC.
No, there's no question about that. And you have a potential first-round draft pick in Anthony Belton. I mean, a guy that is so big and nimble. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Mekhi Becton a couple of years ago at Louisville, maybe a little bit more athletic, with his ability to get out. We were talking with a couple of guys earlier today, and they say they call him Escalade, because he's that big and still able to move very quickly. And then you bring over Zeke Correll from, Notre Dame, a guy who has instantly evolved into a leader of this team, leader of this offensive line. Coach Tuje, offensive line coach, called him the bell cow. That's the guy that he's going to lean on. So you look at those two and then others that have really emerged and stepped forward. This offensive line is going to be fantastic. And it doesn't hurt to look behind you and see number 7, not in blue, but in red and black.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of high expectations. EMAC, I'm sure you've seen the list. They were projected right now to finish 4th in the conference. On the defensive side, Davin Vann, what type of steps can he take in his game? What does that look like in 2024?
Yeah, Jay, he's a guy that has been such a veteran, such a great leader. When I was talking with Grayson McCall, and he said his blood is in the bricks. If you know anything about NC State, there's a lot of bricks all over the campus. So that's just a guy that's been there, done that. And he's trying to get to that double-digit sack number. He's wanting to play both sides at defensive end, left and right. Obviously, we know right is more of a run-stopping guy, and left, that's where you make your money. So, to have that ability to move around is key, but also just understanding, hey, you're the guy now. It's been these great linebackers for so long, and it's been about 5-6 years of them where they can be the face, they can be the voice, they can be the leaders of the team. It's your turn, and he understands that, and I think is really spearheading it. It's going to be fascinating to see how does he just take it, though, to another level statistically.
Mac, I want to follow up on a point that Taylor brought up on the offensive line and how you have a new quarterback as well as a new center, even though Zeke is really highly touted, one of the best transfers that was in the portal. Anthony Belton, and you as a former O-lineman, how much onus does he take and responsibility for making sure there's cohesiveness when you have a new quarterback and center for this season?
Well, it's one of those things leadership-wise that, those two guys are such vets. When you look at Zeke and when you look at McCall there, that they're going to get the time in. But, I think when you have a guy like AB that, just maybe shores things up, that you don't have to worry about that left side. Ain't nothing coming through there, right? When you have a guy that big and that strong, and everybody wants to win. The one thing that was so just obvious while we were here is the expectation is high. I mean, and everybody's kind of embracing that, understanding that. And I think that's a good thing. It's one thing to have a chip on your shoulder and to want to, kind of create that. But it's also another thing to know you're good and to know the expectation and then to go out there and deliver. Let's not read all the press clippings, but it's okay to peak every now and again.
Yeah, we were talking at the start of the show. Obviously, the ACC preseason poll comes out, and there's NC State sitting at 4. And we can talk about the Virginia Techs and Georgia Tech and everything they have coming back. But it looks like, especially schedule-wise, EMAC, and that Tennessee game early on, that it shapes up really well for the Pack to be able to do some damage in this league this season if they get it done on the field.
No, there's no question about that. And I don't like saying easy because football is hard. Winning is hard, but they certainly have a favorable schedule. They certainly have a Louisville of last year schedule. And I think this is a better team, so what are you able to do? How are you able to take advantage of that and, make a run? It's about time. NC State has never played in the ACC football championship game. They have, not won 10 games, but once in their entire existence as a football program. this is the year. It is time to cash in. All the stars are aligning. The players are there. The schedule lines up nicely. You have to take advantage of that. And quite frankly, again, I talk about that expectation. I think they're ready for that. I think they're ready to take that step.
Yeah, they're going to have week 2 in Charlotte against Tennessee, and they're hoping that in early December they are playing in Charlotte for that ACC championship. EMAC, don't go anywhere. We need you back in a little while as we get ready to reveal the ACC preseason team player of the year, so don't go anywhere just yet. But we do want to know, coming up after ACC PM, ACC football road trip continues in Raleigh, which is why EMAC is there with Mark Packer and Mark Herzlich as well. The takeover coming up tonight. We're going to keep it on the East Coast because the Pack is next on our ACC football road trip, and we're going to preview it literally with Mark Packer and company. Stay tuned. One more block left here on ACC PM today. Welcome back to ACC PM. The ACC football road trip continues coming up in just a couple of minutes. It's NC State Wolfpack getting it done over there in Raleigh, and our crew is out there getting it done. Mark Packer and company, take it away. A little sneak peek of what we're expecting to see coming up at 6 o'clock.
NC State road trip. Boys have been working hard. Grayson McCall in town. Bunch of newcomers. NC State looking good in practice number 2. It's August. It's hot. But you know what? This team's got a chance to absolutely be terrific. And look at all these newcomers, especially on the offensive side.
Man, they are absolutely loaded. Weapons everywhere you look. A new signal caller in Grayson McCall that I am ecstatic about, that he's in the ACC, specifically here at NC State. And you like that tight end, Hers.
Justin Jolie, man, at UConn, he was such a physical presence, but also has this amazing ability to use his body and body control in the air and can break tackles or run down the field. I mean, he's going to be a weapon that Robert and I deploys frequently.
You know, the ACC road trip, again, we're going to be busy in the month of August, but this is a team that can get to Charlotte, win an ACC championship for the first time since 1979, punch that ticket, get in the college football playoff. Huge upside for NC State.
There's no question in my mind that because of the schedule, because of the additions that they've made offense and defensively, that absolutely they're one of those teams. And I think it's bigger. Exactly what you said. It's not just an ACC championship. We're talking about a playoff caliber team, and maybe even if you somehow find your way sitting out of that game because of the head-to-head or something happens, you can still, because of your out-of-conference, having Tennessee on that schedule, you can still find your way to a playoff with 12 teams, first time this year.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to win the ACC championship to make the playoff, though, right? Because, I mean, we're talking about strength of schedule being low. You know, people are going to look at that too. So, right, so like, what's the clearest path?
Well, you beat Tennessee and you're a one-loss.
Correct. Yeah,
Clemson.
you got to see what Tennessee does too.
Sure.
But I do think like their goal is say, hey, look, we're going to win this ACC championship game. They haven't even ever played in the ACC championship game since it was formed in 2005. They obviously won ACC championships, but it's hey, we got to get to that game. We got to get past 10 wins, and now everything's lined up. And I think if you have Dave Doran, it's probably like, hey, screw the schedule. We don't care about the schedule. We've got guys that can beat anyone, right? Put anyone out there. It just so happens that we, as analysts, we can take a look and say, wow, it's not that hard a schedule, and I think they can do it.
Well, and I think, again, just to keep talking about it, you look at the teams that are on that list of who they play. We kind of came up with our top 6 of the 5 potential teams in the ACC that they could play that we have in that top 6. They play 1. I mean, that's a big deal when you have that, and how can you take advantage of it? Because this is the year. 10 games once ever in the history of this program.
And they play Clemson on the road early, so even if there's a hiccup there, plenty of time to get on a run and go on a roll. I think Tom Luganville said it best. If you're going to be a college football playoff team, double digits almost needs to be the worst-case scenario to get to the table. But if you win that ACC championship, man, you got to worry about it. You punch that ticket, and you're good to go.
No question.
Especially after what we saw with Florida State last year. You got to win that championship.
No doubt.
Yeah, there's no question about that. All right, it's going to be great. All the folks that are coming on the program, busy day here in Raleigh, North Carolina. But this team loaded with stars, and Dave Doran has done such a nice job. Hard to believe it's 12th season.
Yeah, I mean, look at this lineup we've got coming on the show today, man. Absolutely loaded. Excited for the walkthrough. Excited to have Coach and I kind of mic'd up with us in practice. There's some superstars on this list.
Yeah, there really are. I'm excited to talk to KC Concepcion. I mean, he's just phenomenal last year. I haven't gotten a chance to meet him in person, and I've seen him out on the field. He looks a little taller.
A little
than
bigger.
He was.
Yeah.
Know this much. They're going to kick me out of Raleigh and put me back in the basement tomorrow for PM. But guess what? ACC PM, you guys keep on rocking. Justin Taylor, take it away.
Holding it down for our main man, Mark Packer, hers, and EMAC, of course, and we appreciate EMAC for joining the show today. He'll be back in the basement tomorrow, though, as we continue our road trip tours. That's a heck of a lineup, Justin, that they're getting coming up here in just a bit at 6 o'clock. And honestly, I'm really excited for NC State and their potential this season. I know we can talk about it all day, but really there's a lot to be pumped about if you're a Wolfpack fan.
That's a phenomenal lineup. I cannot wait for tonight's show. But why didn't Mark Packer have sunglasses on? That is a question that needs answers, because you have Mark Herzlich as well as Emac too cool for school, and Mark Packer didn't have sunglasses. I don't know. Maybe he left them in the car, but it'd been nice to get.
He's always got to be different, Justin. You know him by now. You know he's always got to be different.
It's a contrarian without cause. But when we go to NC State,
absolutely.
Something that I think is worth keeping an eye on, and Dave Dorn brought up a great point when he was at ACC football kickoff last week in Charlotte, and he said that this offense needs to average, and the goal is more than 30 points per game. Last year was 26.9, and the reason why he has that as a benchmark is because he believes this defense will not give up more than 30 points per game. So if Grayson McCall can hook up with Robert and I and make sure that everything works out, and then I think Noah Rogers having a big time first season there coming over from Ohio State, that is going to be important. It feels like Grayson McCall holds the keys to the success this season. Of course, it's going to be both sides of the ball, but if they can just make sure to get the job done on offense and put up that many points, the defense, they're going to be stout, even though you don't have Peyton Wilson there.
Yeah, that's kind of just what Gibby's defenses do there at NC State. But for me, in order for this offense to be successful, obviously Grayson McCall and his health is key. Casey Concepcion not being the only playmaker looking around, running around, trying to figure out where number 10 is. You got to have some help. It's going to be on the ground, because for NC State, as we talked about with EMAC, they've struggled to run the ball a bit over the last couple of years. Last year, finished 10th in the league in terms of rushing. So Jordan Waters comes over from Duke, and this is a guy last year in a Duke uniform who ran all over NC State and that really good defense. So he comes over, he's still playing at home. He got his degree from Duke and said, I wanted to stay in the area. I think the offensive line and Jordan Waters there toting the pigskin is going to be the big difference for this offense. It opens up the rest of it, allows Robert and I to use that creativity he's known for, and now a couple more playmakers added to the arsenal. They can be a really potent offense. So I think they will average minimum 30 points a game just because of the weapons they have at their disposal, Justin.
Yeah, one of those dudes and playmakers they alluded to in the preview that's going to be coming up for the full show just in minutes is Justin Joly. I got a chance to cover several of his games last year at UConn. When I tell you, you mentioned the word dude, like this dude is going to be a great red zone target. He is a mammoth of a human being, and especially at the tight end side, he's agile. I'm telling you, Justin Joly, check him out. Noah Rogers obviously would be a great addition, and then, of course, Casey Concepcion and Jordan Waters. But there's no shortage of options for Grayson McCall to hook up with. But on the other side of things, because Peyton is one of one, it's nice to know that Sean is going to have an opportunity to prove that it's by committee. The whole defense knows that Peyton is no longer there. But if you're going to have Sean at the weak side linebacker position, Brown is going to be able to step up for this team, getting more reps, coming down from the safety position, as EMAC mentioned, though. But I think it's going to be really exciting to see in a different role how he's able to adjust to that, because it's more by committee. Peyton is gone. That is one person that you just truly can't replace, the best linebacker in the country. But Sean Brown is just as fast as him. He runs a 4.4, 4.3, and I know they've been able to tout him and push him out there. But Sean Brown, the new leader, or one of the leaders of the defense, along with Davin Vann.
Yeah, and Caden Fordham, too. They do this at linebacker there. People wait in the wings. They wait for their turn, and he's certainly going to have his chance this upcoming season. All right, Justin holding it down over there on the East Coast. I'm over here on the West Coast. Appreciate you joining us. After us, coming up, ACC football road trip continues in Raleigh. A big thank you to the San Francisco Media Group for this wonderful setup. We'll see you later. Enjoy the show.
All right, man, we're here, beautiful Raleigh. We've got a show to do. I don't know where Pack is. We're looking for him, but Coach Dave Doran's coming on the show. Casey Concepcion. Have you seen him? Do you know where he is?
Dude, I never know what Pack is. Who's this?
We need a ride. He's in the basement. Oh, yeah! Right. Oh, we had to get Bojangles.
I got Bojangles, and I got NC State football attitude, boys. It's all about a road trip, Raleigh, North Carolina. It's all about the NC State Wolfpack. Let's go, meatballs. We're rolling.
Woo!
There it is, Raleigh, North Carolina, the capital city of the great state. And that is where you're going to find us because we are excited about those guys right there at NC State. Carter Finley already sold out this year. Boo Corrigan, life is good. Got to add some more seats.
That's right.
That's how excited people are. And they're looking forward to an ACC football championship. Haven't had one since '79. This could be the year for NC State. No doubt about it. All right, look at this cast of characters. Found them in the parking lot.
Thanks for picking us up.
That's the least I could do. I had Bojangles for you in the back, but you jumped in the bed of the
It was
truck.
knocked me out of the back of it. You peeled out so fast.
Well, listen, we got
a lot of power.
We had
Losing it.
Ford F-150 potential sponsorship opportunity.
okay.
Was that
Bojangles.
91 Ford F-150? I like that.
2010. It's in great shape. I'm glad you guys didn't dent it up. This is going to be an exciting team to watch for NC State. All right, there's no question. Look at this. We're going to got all kinds of folks here in the next hour.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, man. Loaded show. Excited for the walkthrough with Coach Gibson. Just in talking with all these guys because they're excited to be here. You see some new faces on there as well. It's going to take some getting used to seeing these guys in red and black.
I can't wait to talk to KC, too.
Yeah.
They protected him a little bit in his freshman year. I can't wait to talk to him.
Yeah, there's no question about it. It's hard to believe, though, Dave Doran in his 11th season with the Wolfpack, 9-4 last year. They've won at least 8 games, again, in 4 straight seasons, first time program history. But they're looking for double digits and even more coming up this season. The Pack's got numerous incoming transfers, including a new signal caller in Grayson McCall. He makes the move from Coastal Carolina to Raleigh last year. Again, 1,900 yards, 10 touchdowns for the Chanticleers. And, of course, returning for the Pack, that includes the 2023 Rookie of the Year. We're talking about Casey Concepcion. You got Davin Van. Those guys are going to join us later on. Tell you what, all kinds of keys, what they're going to do with the biggest loss in the offseason with Peyton Wilson. Some question marks, but, man, the upside for this football team is big.
No, it's huge. And that graphic, a little bit misleading there for Grayson, right? 1,900 yards. You're like, okay, what is that? That dude has over 10,000 yards in his career. He was hurt last year, barely could play. He's a game breaker, 88 touchdowns. So last year was a bit of an anomaly in regards to production because of the injury. I think by adding him with all these weapons they have offensively, he's going to be like Chris Paul. He's a point guard, distributing that rock, getting it out. And quite frankly, I think it's ACC championship or bust for these guys.
Yeah, and I mean, you see all the big names, right, in the Ohio State transfer, but you look at the UConn transfer, Justin Joly. To me, he is a guy that's the missing piece in this offense, right? When Robert Anai's offense was clicking and Keaton Thompson was like that reliable tight end target, Jelani Woods over the middle, it was like that's the guy. Like I really think if Justin Joly has a great camp and beginning of the season, it's going to open up that offense.
Again, it's one thing to talk about the ceiling, but again, all these newcomers, especially on the offensive side, EMAC, and this was a team last year that at times struggled offensively. I don't think that's going to be the issue in 24.
And especially struggling to run the football. But you see Jordan Waters right there. And, we're talking about all these notable additions. How about Zeke Correll from Notre Dame? I mean, we got to talk about that guy. He is a war daddy. That is a guy that is going to be on an all-ACC team to finish it. Yeah. Got to see him in practice yesterday, Mark. He is so cerebral, so smart. Sitting in meetings, he's helping a young guy out. Coach says, Zeke, what do you see here? He looks at the board for 2 seconds and can quickly identify. That's going to spread throughout the entire offensive line, make them better.
Yeah, and at center, right, with over 2,000 snaps at Notre Dame, didn't give up a sack last year. I mean, when you have that guy as your anchor and then Anthony Belton on the left side, you're like, oh, wait a second. Yeah. We have an offensive line. Oh, wait a second. We got a running back. We got a tight end. We got wide receivers. All these things they didn't have last year.
It's been a great year for NC State sports from the beginning of last year into 2024. I think it's going to continue this year. I think the fall. I think
they're
NC
medaling
State,
in the Olympics.
That's right.
No question. I think NC State's going to be one of those teams that it's not going to shock anybody to see them in Charlotte.
I completely agree, and we'll look at the schedule, I'm sure, later. But it sets up perfectly. And, hers, to me, it reminds me a lot of Louisville last year. When you have the opportunity with the schedule, you have the dudes coming in to do it. How can you take advantage and how can you make the most of this time right here.
Well, you got to. I think that's the thing, is like you have to. And when things lay out like this for you and you're like, this is the year, and you haven't won 10 games yet, and you've never played in the ACC championship game, it's like, now's the time.
12th season at NC State, in good company, most wins since 2013. There is the number. You will be tested at the end of this program because it's all about the Wolfpack here for this entire show. Guarantee you. All right, let's bring on the main man for NC State running the show. Coach, I just mentioned the 12th season, man, time flies, doesn't it? Well, what's different now versus when you rolled into town?
Everything.
Literally.
Yeah,
literally.
Everything.
How about your football team? I mean, you know, the eye test of this team, forget about what was going to happen with wins and losses, just the eye test of what these guys look like.
Yeah, we've got really good competitive depth. You know, we talk about retention, and you talk about developing your roster and then bringing guys in with experience, and we've done well in all three phases of that. And got a good group of people that have been with me a long time, and we're all drinking the same red Kool-Aid around here, you know, so they know what to do with them.
Coach, one guy in particular that just jumped off the screen, and then when you find out he's a true freshman, Casey Concepcion.
Yeah.
I mean, what you guys threw at him, the amount of knowledge that he was able to hang on to. And I remember you and I talking over the summer. You said at the bye week, we were just like, let's go.
Yeah.
Is that rare? Have you ever seen something quite like that?
No, it's rare. I mean, you don't see it often. We were worried about it going into the season because we could tell he was by far our most electric player, but putting all that on a freshman. And as the season went on, he showed us that he had earned that, and that was the right move for our program.
With him and going, you know, being in his second year and you're leading the ACC in receiving yards, and as scouts look at him right for the next level, I know that's not where you are yet, but do they look at him as a returner too? Like, are we going to see him more in that role?
You will, yeah. If you just watched the last period, we were in punt return, and he was back there catching punts, and so we're still trying to decide where that goes, but he's definitely going to be a part of that return game.
Yeah, I know when he kind of reminds me of like Zay Flowers and his skill set, and he's able to break tackles, and I know scouts were thinking, hey, we could draft this guy first round if he can also prove to us that we can use him right away in that return game. And so getting the ball in his hands kind of any way possible was really the goal last year. This year, you got to say, okay, well, we got to ration the football because we have a bunch of other guys who have joined the team that can really do something big. How do you communicate that with Grayson, and how comfortable is he with that kind of spread it around type offense?
Well, I think it's great for Grayson. You know, it's not a one-man thing over there. He's got a lot of weapons, like you mentioned, the tight ends, running backs, and the outside receivers that we've added to the roster make it a more complete thing. And so we can still do a lot with KC, and we are. Like, they're going to have to know where number 10 is. But if you center your defensive package on stopping him, it opens things up for Noah, Dakari, Wesley, Justin Jolie, and then the running backs.
Coach, watching just the early part of practice, the one thing that's obvious is team speed. It feels like this may be the fastest team you've had.
I don't know. You know, I think we got some good. We have competitive speed. I think that's the thing I like. We've always had some guys. There's depth, you know, and so when one guy leaves, the next guy comes in. You don't see a drop off, and that's the biggest thing as a coach, because we all know it's a long season. For us, it's 8 games without a bye. You know, so it's the longest stretch I've had without a bye week. So we're going to need that.
You guys also have great game speed, right? Like, you might not be the fastest guy, but on film, they're always running to the whistle, right? So it looks like they're fast.
And the effort, and I know Coach Thunder and those guys coach that up yourself, effort matters. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball for a moment, because that secondary, it was day one. Let me pull back the reins a little bit myself. But I'm excited. I see some veterans. I see some guys making plays on the football, interceptions, PBUs. It's impressive to see that. How much of a luxury is that to have a good defensive backfield as we think?
Well, it opens up the call sheet for Tony, you know, for Coach Gibson. He's a guy that likes to be multiple, bring pressures from a lot of places, show pressure and drop, and we have experienced guys, but we can play man, you know, and that's the thing that opens up the blitz packages for you.
How important is you for that defense? And just showing Davin Van here, you guys so often were able to only rush 3 and get pressure on quarterbacks in key situations. How big is that, and how big is that communication to those front 3 of like, hey, you got to be the ones who make the pressure so we can do all those coverage adjustments? Yeah,
you know, being a D lineman in this package, there's times where it's a 3-man rush. There's times where it's 4, it's 5, it's 6. And so when it is 3, they got to strain. They got to fight. There's going to be double teams for them at times. There's games going on where we can try to pick and get guys free on picks and things like that. But there's also a lot of pressures where it's one-on-one, and you got to eat when you get those one-on-one blocks.
Coach, real quick, the ability to get off the field last year, I thought you guys were sensational. Third down, it was almost automatic. Hey, and from a momentum standpoint, now that you got a kind of more of an offensive team that can really score, the ability to get off the field on defense will be critical again in 24.
Yeah, I mean, the drive start analysis we do on where the offense gets the ball based on where we stop them, right? And what our punt return team can do to set up our offense and our defense and our punt teams. And it's a big deal to go 3 and out, and something we make a big deal. We call it turkeys, but just getting those guys off the field, whether it's a takeaway or a 3 and out, it's a big part of what Coach Gibson talks about.
All right, well, let you get back to work, all right?
I appreciate it,
You got it. Hey, listen, it's a pleasure. We appreciate all the hospitality. I think good things are happening for you. Really
thanks for having me. Go Pack.
You got
Thanks,
it.
Coach.
Here's Dave Dorn. When we come back, you just talked about that defensive line.
Come on.
And then guess what? Big man's going to join us, Davin Van. That's all coming up. NC
Blood's in
State
the bricks,
road
baby.
trip. It continues here in beautiful Raleigh, North Carolina. NC State road trip continues here on the first day of August. Our man Mark Herzlich's got a front row seat with Tony Gibson. Talk about that NC State defense.
We got a situation today, last play, 8 seconds left, trying to get in field goal range. So we're going to, this little 4-man pressure.
Little dime package.
Yeah.
How's it been with the cornerback rotations?
Good, really good. We got 4 or 5 guys we like a lot.
Yeah, that's great.
Here we go, base in, base in.
And it was great to get Aiden White back.
Yeah, really good. I mean, you talk about one of the best corners in the country, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The dude is 2 years without giving up a touchdown. He's just a steady guy, does things right, works his tail off. So.
He was really hot at the end of last season too,
Yeah.
so it was nice when you saw him come back out of that transfer portal.
No doubt. That was a big recruiting win for us when we did that. So.
Yeah. How's Caden Fordham done making the calls as a young guy in that linebacker spot?
Doing really good. He's obviously he's been very fortunate to learn from Isaiah Moore, Drake Thomas, Peyton Wilson. Been in a meeting room with those guys, and same thing with Betty. I mean, those 2 guys have played a lot of football for us. And, they're just they're extremely smart.
To me, training camp, right? Like training camp, off-season workouts, it's about building toughness and resilience. And like I've talked to you about this before. Why do we see so much soft football? Like, why do we see that? And how are you battling against that?
Yeah, well, it's, everybody here, and we talk about it, the transfer portal doesn't scare me. If a kid's not tough enough to play for NC State and the brand of football we play defensively, they can leave. I'll welcome, I'll escort them right out the door to the parking lot. But, we play with a certain edge and do things a certain way. And we hold these kids accountable to everything. What they put on film is their resume. Yeah. And, we're going to make sure that they play hard and play our brand of football. And if not, they're not going to play.
Yeah. But that's like the old school mentality. I mean, that's when I played. It was like, it was the hardest thing you ever did that day, right? Like, everything you did was the hardest thing you've ever done. And it seems like you guys' culture nourishes that mentality, and the leaders on this team, like, they foster that with the young guys.
Yeah, and they have a standard to live up to, from what we've been able to do the last few years.
Yeah.
And I don't hide behind that. We put it up, and I challenge these guys to be better than last year's group. Right. And play hard and all those things. And on Sunday, we hold them accountable. We make sure that they understand that they're going to play with effort and play hard. And 2 people don't fit with me, soft and lazy. And, it's hard for them to play for me on defense if they're soft or lazy.
Yeah, no, I hear that. My wife tells me sometimes I'm soft and lazy, and that doesn't fly with her either. Who's good? Do you have any newcomers?
Yeah, Jihad Carter.
Yeah, I mean, we know him from the ACC, from Syracuse.
Yeah. He's really fitting in really well with our guys and our scheme. Day 1 had a really, really good day.
Yeah.
We have Donovan Kaufman, safety that transferred in from Auburn. We really like. He's fitting in well. KJ Martin is a guy that came from Akron. Yeah. That actually I recruited at West Virginia. And
isn't it wild how that always happens?
Yeah, and it just kind of came full cycle with that. So, and then Corey Coley is a corner we got from Maryland.
Yeah.
So Chaz Wallace, nose guard from Colorado. So we filled holes that we need to fill. And
do you see yourself rotating at that linebacker spot more, like trying to play more guy? I mean, last year it was, you can't take Peyton off the field, right?
Yeah,
you can't take Drake off the field the year before.
No, and as long as we have enough that we're not going to drop off, we'll rotate them, man. And that's what I tell these guys and my goal is to have, 5 guys in the rotation, and, if they're good enough and we're going to keep holding holding up with what we do and how we do it, then I'm good. We'll play more guys. But if they can't, then we're going to ride the guys that are in there.
Right. You were mentioning off camera, you got a little guy, a little young buck in your wings that you're saying, hey, you're going to be pretty good. Tell me about him.
Yeah, Elijah Groves. He's a big athletic kid. Was a really good basketball player out of high school. He's reminds you stature-wise of Peyton. I mean, he's 6'4", 6'4.5". He's gained 18 pounds in a month. So he's
feeding him good down here.
Yeah, he's going to be a creature when his time comes, and hopefully it will be this year. But if not, he'll get a lot of good reps and be ready to roll.
That's awesome, Coach. Thanks for your time, man. Go get out to practice and have fun building these creatures. I like that.
Sir.
Take care, Coach.
There's old Davin Vann. We're going to talk to him coming up here momentarily. But, Mark, you just did the dog and pony with Tony Gibson. And let's talk about this Wolfpack defense. Really good last year. Great getting off the field. Created a bunch of turnovers. Kind of expect more of the same this year.
I really do. And, it's funny to me, the folks that think that this defense is up in Pittsburgh with the Steelers, with Peyton Wilson there. These guys just reload, man. And anytime that Coach Gibson is a part of your program, your defense is going to be elite. But for me, where I think this team can really take a massive step forward is the defensive backfield. I mean, I think they have a chance to be the best they've been since, this staff has been here. I ran into, Big Isaiah from a couple of years, Isaiah Moore, and he said, I love what I'm seeing. They're explosive. They're long. They're guys that are going to get after it and get the football.
Yeah, they are. And, they're going to have to obviously replace Peyton Wilson, and they're going to do it by committee, right? Caden Fordham is going to call those plays in the middle, and Sean Brown coming down from safety to that will linebacker position, like that's going to be big, right? He's a fast, rangy safety, and that now is putting on a few pounds and playing that kind of cover blitz linebacker role. Right. So when you have that, right, you get pieces filling in for where Peyton Wilson was, and then you think, okay, we got Davin Vann up front, we have Rhett Hibbler up front, and then you bring in Jihad Carter at safety, right? And you have Aiden White at corner. And they've added other pieces, too, that there's going to be competition for who's going to be that second corner, right? And anytime you have that sort of competition versus this improved wideout group in camp, like that's going to be the position group to watch.
And I think if there's an X factor for this defense, I have very high expectations. You just laid it out there for the secondary. Sean Brown that you mentioned at the linebacker spot, kind of replacing what they had in Peyton Wilson yesterday or last year. Speaking with Coach Dorn, speaking with this staff, they love his physicality. Long wingspan. He's a 4'4", 4'3" guy. It'll be interesting to see how does he handle that physicality, moving from safety, getting a little closer to linebacker with big offensive linemen trying to grab him. But running, tracking, blitzing, I have no problem with what he's going to bring.
NC State's defense last year out of sight, 20.8 points a game, ranked third in the ACC. Turnovers, they created a bunch of them with 24. Third down percentage, the best in the league. We talked about it getting off the field. NC State does it as well as anybody. All right, let's talk about that defensive front. Davin Vann joins us hot and bothered, just the way defensive linemen like it in early August, right?
Yes, sir.
Conditioning is obviously key here. We've already seen, again, it's 1,000 degrees, but you guys look like you're in unbelievable shape.
Yes, sir. It's just summer workouts. We've been working hard.
Chip on the shoulder, still some unfinished business here?
Yes, sir, always. You know that.
Excited to see it, man. And Davin, I think one thing that's interesting about you is just your presence as a leader, who you are for this football team. We were talking to Grayson McCall at Media Day, and I asked him, who's the alpha of this team, of this defense? And he said you. He said your blood is in the bricks at this program. What does that mean to you to be that type of leader?
It means a lot. It means a lot coming from a guy like Grayson. But, yeah, it just means a lot.
What does it carry? I mean, do you feel that pressure? Do you have to do extra? How are you embracing, I guess, being the voice, the face of NC State?
I wouldn't use the word pressure. I mean, I enjoy it. It makes me become better every day. It makes me want to push people harder and hold myself to the same standards that I'm holding my teammates to.
All right, give me goals. What are Davin Vann's goals for this year?
Double-digit sacks, of course, and then just
7 last year, right?
I had like 5.5.
5.5 sacks. Sorry, 7 TFLs.
Yes,
5.5 sacks.
Yeah.
All right.
And then just be the best leader that I can be. I've learned a lot from Zay, Peyton, Drake, all those guys. So just trying to take what they taught me and build off that.
Davin, a lot of folks already buzzing about the offense, but the defense never gets enough love. But you guys have really brought the heat. I mean, getting off the field. I know we talked to Coach earlier today. 3rd down, got to get off the field. How about some goals team-wise on the defensive side?
I mean, like always, we want to be 70% or better on 3rd down. Get at least 4 3-and-outs per game. Little things like that. We're just trying to focus on the details of the game.
When I look at your defense, for the last however many years, you've been so linebacker heavy. I mean, the star power that you've had, the leaders, one of the best, if not the best player in defense and on the defensive side of the ball last year in Peyton Wilson. This year it feels like the secondary has a chance to be really elite. How does that help you, though? I mean, when you have a secondary like that, and name some guys, tell me who's back there, but how does that help you as a defensive line?
Yeah, it helps a lot. I'm real excited for our secondary. It helps us with allowing us to get to the quarterback a lot more because they can strap on the back end. But, we got guys like DK, Jihad Carter, Kerry Martin, Aiden, of course, Cisse, all those guys. So I'm real excited, and it definitely helps us a lot.
You guys as a defense have always been one of my favorites to watch because you never quit. It's like to the whistle, through the whistle, you're always running to the play. I know my favorite thing always as a linebacker is when that defensive lineman gets out of that rush and goes tackles a screen.
Yeah.
How have you guys built that, right? Because everybody tries to. Every coach will say, hey, we want our guys running through the whistle, but I watch film and not everyone does, but you guys do. What is it different about the way you guys practice or train that allows you to do that?
I mean, it's just the way we practice. We practice, you go off to get a sack. You can't really hit the quarterback in practice, but, you get to the quarterback, and as soon as that ball comes out, you got to plant your foot and retrace your steps, run to the ball. So it's just habits that we've built in practice over the years.
Davin, how's it going against Anthony Belton in practice? I mean, a guy who's potentially a first-round draft pick, quick feet, very good athlete. What does that do for you on game day?
Going against him in practice is fun. It helps me a lot, especially this year because I'm trying to, work both sides now. So it's not just me playing left in. I'm trying to play more right in. But, yeah, it helps me a lot because, he's a great player, real big athlete, one of the best athletes I've seen at that weight. So it's a big advantage, I would say, for me on game day.
Davin, I know you like to hang here, but Tony Gibson needs your services. We wish you the best. Stay healthy.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate y'all.
One of the best in the league right there. Davin Gann taking care of business. Everything's good. By the way, the Huddle road trip. How about Ireland? How about across the pond and then some?
Yeah, I'll be at home.
Yeah, you'll be on the couch.
It's misleading.
That's it. No. That's right. You're still in spirit.
The left side will be in Ireland. The right side will be at home.
There you go. The Huddle, Ireland, August 24th. It literally is right around the corner. We kick off the 2024 season. And when we come back, everybody talking about this offense. You know about KC, the Sunshine Band, but there's others. We'll talk about it next. Road trip continues from NC State right here on ACC Network. NC State road trip. Man, Raleigh, North Carolina, beautiful day for practice. It's the first day of August, but it's day 2 and for the Pack on the grass. And let me tell you something, man. NC State Nation is fired up, and rightfully so. Look at the transfers here. Grayson McCall, we're going to talk to him momentarily. Transfers from Coastal Carolina. Noah Rogers doing his thing. Jordan Waters, we've seen him enough at Duke. He is going to be a problem for the rest of the league. And Justin Jolie, man, that tight end is going to be really good too. Listen, NC State's got weapons. They're going to be dangerous. And with all that said, man, they cannot wait to show it off. All right, Grayson McCall joins us. Hey, Grayson, last week it was Charlotte suit and tie. Now you really have your business suit on. Boy, you picked a nice, cool morning to get to work.
Yeah, man, it's been hot out here, but always good to get back on the grass. The guys were excited, fire up to be back out here.
Grayson, something that was so evident yesterday when I was able to come by, see practice, you've got a receiver room. Yep. You've got some real guys out there. There's some additions that you've made, some guys that are coming back. Tell me a little bit about that room and maybe who has elevated this offseason.
Yeah, a bunch of dudes. Obviously the guys you saw from last year, Dakari Collins and KC Concepcion, and then you bring guys like Noah Rogers and Wesley Grimes, and then you got young guys like Keenan Jackson and Terrell Anderson. So a bunch of dudes around me, man. They work hard. Really bought in this spring to getting on the same page with route concepts and timing and things like that. So we're in a good spot, man. Got 20 practices out here, but it's about time to go. So a lot of dudes around me make my job a lot easier, but love working with those guys.
Yeah, it's kind of awesome too because you didn't know all those guys were going to be here when you committed. I would have assumed.
Right.
You knew what you had, but what was it about NC State that you said, "Hey, I need to go to this spot"?
Yeah, I think just what they've been able to do over the years. Coach Doran has a very strong culture here and something he's built for a long time. A team that's been right on the edge of winning 10 games and really winning the league. So something I wanted to be a part of, something that I was extremely intrigued in whenever I was able to come on my visit. And the people are great here. It's a family identity, and everybody's treated me like that. And it's been awesome, man. Really, really excited with the decision I made and just so happy to be here.
How did they show that, right? People talk all the time, hey, we got great culture and different things, and that's a great thing. But how do you see that in a day or two, right?
Yeah, I think it was, it was immediately whenever I put my name in the transfer portal, they showed a lot of interest. They showed me that they wanted me and really cared about me throughout the process and really, kind of gave me time to explore other schools and do the whole thing. So, and then whenever I was able to come on campus, just the way they treated me, I was here to learn football, learn the guys. I didn't want to, necessarily do the photo shoot and see camps and everything like that. I wanted to sit down with the guys and learn ball. And
they respected that.
Yeah, they respected it, and they were awesome. And the coaches here, they really care. And a lot of really good coaches in this building. So, it was kind of a no-brainer for me when I got here.
That's awesome.
Grace, it's only the second practice, but what about the leadership, the voice on the offensive side? Do you take a sense that, hey, I'm the guy, let's go?
Yeah, no doubt. I think, it kind of comes with the position. It's something that I've kind of always embraced. And then you bring a guy like Zeke Correll in, a guy that's, a four-year starter at Notre Dame that's played a lot of football, played a lot of big football games, and he's really turned things around. Having him out here this spring has been awesome. He really, leads the charge up front, and he's done a phenomenal job. So, and then obviously Jordan Waters in the backfield. It's like having another quarterback back there with me. So, those guys really, kind of take the weight off my shoulders. But, I try to be the leader the best I can.
I tell you what, we're going to let you get back to work. I know you like to be chilling out with us, but you got to get back to work.
Yep. No doubt. Thank you guys for having me. Go Pack. A lot of work to put in, but we're excited to be out here and can't wait to get this thing going.
You got to stay healthy.
Yeah,
yes, sir. Thank you.
Sure.
Grayson McCall taking care of business for NC State. NC State, I tell you what, last year this guy, Casey Concepcion, what a season he had. Man, you look at the numbers, they speak for themselves. The dude is a baller, and this year he gets even more help. I tell you what, watch out for the Wolfpack. Watch out for this guy. This guy's a star. Matter of fact, it's so bright. He's wearing shades. and it's not necessarily the star factor, even though you could go there. But somebody tried to poke you in the eye today. For
yeah, man.
Who
it's
was
crazy.
It? Who was it?
Jihad.
Dang, man.
Ohio State guy comes in and goes, I can't stop him.
Yeah. He's still a Syracuse guy in my book.
I hear you.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, what a year, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
What are we doing for an encore?
What'd you say?
What are we going to do for an encore?
Year
mean
two.
by that?
Year two. What's happening?
Year two.
24.
A year two, I would say that I'm trying to go for 1,000 receiving yards. I'm gonna be doing some punt returns so I can get in some more yards there. Trying to go for overall around 1,500, 1,700.
Yeah.
10 to 12 touchdowns.
Come on, we got it laid out. We got the blueprint laid out. I mean, it's right there for the taking. We were so impressed with your year last year, brother. The way that you did it, the amount of pressure, expectation at the end of the year. Everybody knew 10 was getting the ball, and they couldn't stop it.
Yes, sir.
What was that like for you as a true freshman, having all that kind of placed on you?
Honestly, it was honestly crazy. You feel me? But I mean, I have my teammates that I can lean on. I have my coaches that I can come to talk to every day. So just leaning on the guys around me, just made it better for me.
Yeah, and I think I'm a former linebacker, and my favorite part about watching you was how guys couldn't take you down, right? You weren't running out of bounds. You were lowering your shoulder into guys. You were making guys miss. You were consistently fighting for that extra yard. Just have you always had that mentality? Was that instilled in you here at NC State?
I'm a dog, coach. I'm a dog. Nah, but I would say that I feel like my dad he drilled that into me while I was younger. So I feel like I just always had that dog in me since I was young, and then I just brought it to the college level.
You seen any more dogs come in this wide receiver and tight end room and running back room in the past year?
Yes,
Tell me about these guys.
Ooh, hey.
Let's go.
Ooh, we got Noah from Ohio State, dog. We got Wesley from Wake Forest. We got my high school teammate Hollywood in here.
I know. Yeah. How crazy is that?
Man, it's finna be crazy. man, we got Grayson in here. We got Justin Jolly. Like, this offense this year is about to be crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I know this much. The shades, I know that wasn't intentional because I know folks would be like, oh, man, he's going to Hollywood. This could be a new marketing campaign.
Yes,
you know
sir.
that?
Yes, sir. Hey, Ray-Bans.
Yeah.
Come and holla at me, man. I'm telling you.
He's got Ray-Ban vision.
I'm telling you,
right
man. You can't hide money.
Yeah, you'll be wearing those even in the primetime
Yes,
games,
sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
That's exactly. Listen, stay healthy. You're a great player.
Yes, sir. I got you.
You got it. There's Casey Concepcion.
NC State, unfortunately, they're waiting for basketball to start.
4th and 19 for Klubnik. 25 seconds to go. Here is your football game. Trying to extend the play. Throws it up for grabs. Incomplete. Ball on the turf. Dave Doran, 77 wins at NC State. He ties the legend Earl Edwards for most in school history.
I love these guys and I'm proud of them. I wish more people had faith in them. I sure as hell do. And tell Steve Smith in the studio, this ain't a basketball school. He can kiss my ass.
One of the all-time great lines. And did they show the Clemson just because of me and you there? Was that
100%.
a personal
Never
deal there? I thought so.
It's never good when the last play says up for grabs. It's
Yeah,
never a good thing.
Yeah, it's not fun, especially when it's not in the end zone.
I tell you what is going to be good is this offense, right? I mean, again, we were going to touch base with a number of guys coming up, but nevertheless, I think NC State offensively in 24 much better than what you saw last year. And this was a team that won a bunch of games.
And the biggest reason for that is they just have weapons. And I think you have a very dynamic quarterback that's coming in Grayson McCall. So, to me, distributing the ball is going to be at an all-time high. Yes, we know what 10 is going to do. The exceptional explosive ability that KC Concepcion has and was really forced into, action of being the guy last year. I mean, he was it. We've talked to multiple coaches and just saying, hey, at the bye week, we just flooded the game plan with 10. How can we get him the ball? This year, that's not going to be the case. They've got a ton of guys. Noah Rogers is going to be a superstar, a guy that went and started his career at Ohio State. Now he's back. Wesley Grimes yesterday in practice, guys. Shifty as all get out.
Yeah, I
can't wait to see them side by side. And then the big tight end, which you like a lot.
Yeah, Justin Jolie coming from UConn. I really like him, and I love his physicality. I love his speed combination. It's just he's a very prototypical, you move tight end in the pros. But think about this, right? KC Concepcion moved almost every play last year, right? They always trying to hide him and move him. Now they can use Jolie as some of that move guy where you get KC, you can hide him, you can move him in motion, you can do a bunch of different things. And the X factor of all of them is Robert and I.
Right.
I mean, when you talk about mad scientist offensive coordinators, look at what he did with Brennan Armstrong, who I think Grayson McCall has better physical talents than Brennan Armstrong. Look what he did with Garrett Schrader, right, at Syracuse. He took a guy that, was a former wide receiver, turned him into a really good quarterback. And so what he's going to be able to do with all of these pieces, to me, that's the most exciting. And you're never going to have the same game plan week in and week out.
And on top of, hey, we should have a run game. That's been something that has been the Achilles heel of this team taking that next step, in my opinion, because they haven't been able to do it. And they've had first-round draft picks at offensive line. They've had great running backs that are in the UFL, NFL, that just they haven't been able to take that next step. Jordan Waters does that. Having a potential first-round draft pick in Anthony Belton does that. But the biggest difference, as what you just said there in Coach Robert and I, life football offense is about mismatches, and they have all the pieces to do that.
Yeah, that's why there's so much enthusiasm about this team and what they can possibly pull off for the upcoming season. It is going to be great. See what the schedule is there with notable games. You got a couple big ones early, Tennessee and Charlotte, the road trip down to Death Valley. We're going to know a lot about NC State early in the season. There's no question about that.
No question at all. I mean, you're talking about week 3, week 4. We're going to know exactly who this team is.
Yep, no question is right. By the way, speaking of road trips, we're having a good time here in Raleigh, North Carolina. But guess what? We got a bunch more coming up.
Keep it going.
We're heading back out to the left coast, Cal, tomorrow, and then it just keeps on rocking and rolling for the next couple of weeks. Again, it's August, boys and girls. Check the calendar. That means football is right around the corner. But before we kick things off in Dublin, we're going to take you all over the place. When we come back, Jordan Waters is going to join us. He comes from Duke to NC State to the set. Next, right here, Road Trip continues. NC State on the ACC Network. NC State, the offense practicing, and again, I think all of us are kind of excited to see what this looks like in 24. Got a chance to be explosive, and of course, we're going to talk to all the coaches on that stuff come up as well. But you know, when you start talking about NC State, man, you got to talk about this guy. He comes from Duke, right down the road to NC State, goes from the royal blue to the red and white of NC State. Jordan, man, it's kind of a crazy thing here on Tobacco Road. We see him transfers all the time, but literally right down the street.
Yeah, I'm still getting used to it. Every morning I walk in, I see red, and it feels weird, but I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, I bet.
What all went into that, man? Because it is weird. Yeah. It's weird for us, too. I mean, we've covered you for so long at Duke. What went into that decision, and how ultimately did you land here at NC State?
Definitely my coach leaving and Coach Elko. I love Coach Elko, though, and him leaving played a role in that, and then hitting the portal and realizing I could stay in North Carolina, be close to my family another year. They come to all my games, and then play some good football at NC State. I couldn't turn it down, and, you know, they're always winning 9 games, 9. I feel like this year we can go way past that.
Like how way? How way past that?
Yeah.
At least 10, baby.
Oh, yeah, ACC, right? I'm talking playoffs, all that.
Come on, baby.
But see, I like that, right?
I do too.
Like all the rhetoric out of NC State is not like, hey, we're going to be the best. We got to win a championship. And I always thought that, like, when you have that big goal, the rest of things follow. And how about, I mean, I feel like you particularly, this fan base has embraced you. At least all the message, everything. They're like, you're like this. You're a second coming right now. Like, we need a running game, right? How has this running game evolved, and how are you going to bring your skill set to this running game?
It all started in the offseason, and with Coach Thunder and the way we work, the way we run, and then not just me, but we got other dogs and Kendrick and Dail and Smothers. Then we got DeMarcus and Jordan Poole who does all the dirty work. But then it starts out here running around in the heat. Yeah, and this is what we get right.
How that room, right? Last year there was questions. Okay, who's going to be here? You got 2 guys transferring out mid-year, and now you got a whole bunch of new guys, right? A couple guys who come back from injury. But how have you kind of bonded as a bunch of new guys in that running back room?
Well, I'm an old head, man. So
well, you are, but you're new. You're old, but new.
And it was great though. Nobody had an ego. Nobody was too big-headed or anything, because they all know we got the same goal, and that's to go win this ACC championship. Yeah. So everybody welcomed me, man, and now it's just time to work.
That's great. Last year Concepcion did so many things for this offense. You mentioned about all these new guys, man. It seems like there's weapons all over the place on this team.
Everywhere, tight ends, receivers, even the defensive side, but those guys work. And KC, man, he's a dog. the way he playing games, the same way he's going to practice out here, and I love it.
Let's talk about your offensive line, man. I had the privilege to watch tape with them yesterday. Yeah, saw them in a lot of practice. I mean,
he loves O-line.
Big, massive. Right. I mean, you've got some guys up there that can really move the pile. What are you looking forward to with that unit?
Man, I'm looking forward to some physical football, man. I love playing hard. I love O-linemen being dirty and nasty, and we got that in Zeke. And Zeke is a natural-born leader, man. He's always loud, first to do everything. Then you got we got a first-round draft pick on our line in AD. You do. And I tell him that all the time, and if he play like it, he could go first round. But I'm excited. I'm ready to run.
And I mean, you've seen that. Yeah. You've seen a first-rounder last year with Graham and the things. So what, I guess, does AB have that maybe Graham had as well?
Man, I've never seen a big dude that can move like that. And we call him Escalade. And he's big, man, but he run like a lineman, like a linebacker should, and he can move.
Wow.
Well, listen, I know you'd like to hang with us, but we're going to let you get back to work. Is that all right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Listen, stay healthy. Have a great year.
Appreciate you. Have a good one.
Yeah, thanks, Jordan.
There's Jordan Waters taking care of it. And, again, you're going to see him a bunch. And here you go. Most games with 24 or more points go down the list. Florida State last year with 12. Carolina goes double digits in their state. Miami, Duke with a 9 spot. NC State, man, I'll tell you what, they're going to score a ton of points this year. You can count on that. That number, if it's 9 this year, something's wrong. All right, Robert and I joins us. Coach, a nice, cool morning to get things started. So far, so good, I guess, with practice.
Well, yeah, we had 1 day, so this is day 2. We're still in the acclimation period where there's no pads, just, helmets and all. So a lot of focus on the pass game and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you love to see that. Coach, former offensive lineman, you can't tell a ton physicality-wise about your team till those pads come on. So for these first couple of days, what are you looking for? What are you trying to evaluate from your team?
Well, we'd like to be able to connect the dot. When it's time to throw the ball to the open guy. When the ball comes your way, catch it. Sometimes there's a contest for the catch. That's what we're looking to develop in these yesterday and today.
Coach, you got some veterans returning, but you got a lot of new guys on your team. Anybody who's young, who's fresh out here at practice that you're excited to see first time on the field?
It's we got a young running back that smashed it in spring ball and smashed it in the offseason. Duke Johnson. He's young, first fall camp. Doing a hell of a job. We're looking for good things that come out of him. We got 2 receivers that came in January, Keenan and Terrell Anderson. And both of those receivers have sparked as young guys. And Jonathan Paylor just got aboard, kind of playing Casey's position with some of his skill sets, not all, but boy, he can run and he can go and he's a talent.
Coach, Grayson gives you the ability to have another quarterback with unbelievable experience. What things does he bring to the table that may be a little bit different from a year ago and with what your offensive approach is going to be?
Well, Grayson's a vet, and he's been in a couple different offenses, and this being the next one. But dang, of all my years, of all my guys, and all my break-in for first-year quarterbacks, he's the best, mastering it at a higher level. So, man, I'm really looking forward to keeping him healthy and giving him opportunity to perform.
Coach, you mentioned some of those young guys at the wide receiver position. You bring in some other vets as well in the transfer portal, and I only know that's going to help KC take his game to another level. What have you seen from that wide receiver core this spring and early in camp?
Well, God bless those Wesley Grimes and Noah. Those kids have really stepped up the wide receiver relevancy. That within 1 year, boy, that group is now booming and going to be a threat on the field. Going to be very relevant in the offense.
Coach, your defense is always known for toughness, right? You brought in some tough guys, right? Jordan Waters, you got Justin Jolie. These guys are physical, breaking tackle guys. Like, what is bringing more positions like that, an element of that to your offense, like to bring that toughness to your side of the ball?
Well, we can't omit Dante Daniels and the contribution he's going to make. Dante weighed in at 275. He's 6'7". So there's a big, tough guy for you. He came right out of junior college. Junior college, man, I coached 4 years. Every kid's got a story, and every kid's underfed. But Dante got here in January, and boy, we put him on the trading table and put him with our strength people. And boy, that kid is that's the tight end we're looking for. 6'7", 275. So Dante's there. Justin is 250 pounds at 6'4", so he's not a flyweight. So we look for contributions for Justin in that tough man world with Dante. And so those are kind of the new element pieces that we look for contributions in the box blocking.
Coach, listen, stay healthy. It's August. The countdown is on. We look forward to watching the Pack. You guys have huge upside and can't wait to see what it looks like for 24. But have a healthy practice for the rest of the month, my man. Appreciate it. NC State, I tell you what, not only are they good and going to be good, but I'll tell you what's really good. This schedule. If you're an NC State fan, that Tennessee thing in the Queen City is going to be a monster. There's no doubt about that. Road trip to Death Valley a couple weeks later, humongous game. But you talking about manageable for a team that expects to be a double-digit winning team, a team that could be in the college football playoff, an ACC champion. You got to love this schedule now.
There's no question about it. And here's the deal. At Media Day, Hers, we kind of came up with our top 6 teams going into the preseason that we felt really good about, and it was pretty close to unanimous there. Out of the possible 5 opponents that NC State could play, they have one of those teams.
Right.
You talk about favorable. You talk about the stars aligning and everything happening or setting up to happen this year for NC State. You have to take advantage of it. When you have this type of opportunity right there for you, 10 wins, I mean, we better sleepwalk to 10 wins. I'm not disrespecting anybody, but for the second time ever, they have that opportunity.
Yeah, and I think they can do it. And you start fast. I think the one concern and why camp is so important right now is you got to start fast because it's week 2 when it hits you in the face. And if you beat Tennessee, right, then you got Clemson coming another 2 weeks later. So those first 4 weeks, are going to be really big, right? You're going to have to find out. You're trying to get big leads, find out what you have as backup quarterback, right? Week 1, week 3, week 2, and week 4. You got to really win. And then the rest of the schedule is going to be a lot of teams we don't really know what they're going to be like. So you should beat those teams. And then UNC at the end could be, another major one.
And the biggest thing to me, you talk about starting in a hurry. I always loved when we opened at Clemson with Georgia, with Auburn, because it created a different sense of urgency throughout camp because it's right there. You got to go. We have to be ready. As you said, with Clemson week 4, Tennessee week 2, that they do have the luxury of a warm-up game. They all count. We don't do preseason in college football, but there's a different sense of urgency out here, and they understand the task at hand.
Yeah, NC State has won 9 games 13 times in their history. Dave Doran's done it 4 times, but 9 is now no longer like, okay, cool, we've done that, check. Let's get the double digits. You mentioned Phillip Rivers way back in 2002, got to double digits, but this is a team that thinks they're going to win the ACC championship, get in the college football playoff, and just kind of shatter all these scenarios.
And they're embracing that too.
No question.
Every guy that you've talked to, or if you talk to them off camera, they know that, and I think that's important.
Yep, there's no question about that. By the way, they let me out of the basement for today only.
Get back.
Only
Get
because
back.
Tomorrow PM is back. I'll be in the basement. Justin will be up in Bristol. I believe he'll be tag team partner tomorrow. But ACC PM weekdays, Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. It all gets started. So, again, I'll enjoy Raleigh for about another couple more hours and have to get back and make sure everything's good to go in the basement. So there's that deal. When we come back, final thoughts. Where will NC State finish in the ACC? We'll give you our predictions coming up next. NC State road trip. Great time here in Raleigh, North Carolina today, watching a really talented team practice. I know it's August. It's go time for the Wolfpack and everybody else for that matter. But, man, this is a team that is good enough to get to Charlotte and win an ACC title. ACC preseason poll came out earlier this week. The media, 170 media voters, 8 different teams received at least a first-place vote. As you see, NC State received 8 first-place votes. They're in the 4 slot, which leads and begs the question, gentlemen, where do you think NC State will finish in 24?
Yeah, I've got them in the top 4, man. I really do. And I know that's maybe a little bit of a soft answer. It doesn't give you a definitive number. But I think 2 things. That's how deep this league is this year. And we're talking about a potential team that may win 10-plus games being in the top 4, not number 1 or number 2. And I think that gets you really excited. But the talent they have at wide receiver unit specifically, they make a big jump. I think they're right there fighting for Charlotte.
Yeah, I think this is a team that has an X factor in the coaching staff, right? Their coaching staff has been here for a long time. Dave Doran in his 12th season knows how to build winning teams. You got Robert and I on offense. He's like a mad scientist with putting guys in right places. And so when you get his influx of talent, the biggest shame you can do is not utilize them correctly, right, in order to produce his wins. And Tony Gibson on the defensive side, he's been doing it consistently. So to me, all those players are great. The coaching staff is going to get that going. I see them in the championship game in Charlotte.
I remember a year ago we were trying to do the old crystal ball, and I said, man, Louisville's schedule, I think they're going to score a lot of points. Jeff Brom's going to scheme them up. I think they're going to get to the championship game. I kind of feel the same way with NC State this year. It's the schedule's right, but more importantly, the team is right.
Yes.
Grayson McCall, you already got great experience. You saw the swagger today in our conversation, even watching them in practice. But this team offensively is going to be much better than they were a year ago, and I still expect that defense to be salty.
100%. And you just look at that offense. The headliner is KC Concepcion, but all the additions, Noah Rogers coming in, Joe Lee, the tight end coming in, Waters at running back, Grimes from Wake Forest, stud at wide receiver. Because of those guys coming in, that alleviates some pressure on him. He can now just be a star and not have to be the whole team and do everything.
Yeah, you beat Tennessee week 2, you beat Clemson week 4. Smooth sailing from there, right? You get a lot of teams that we're unsure about. They can capitalize on those. They find themselves in Charlotte.
Look out.
And then some. And then some. The road trip, again, a great time here at NC State, but guess what? The cool thing about this league, fake left, go right. Tomorrow, let's go from Raleigh, North Carolina, back over to the other side of the universe, heading to Berkeley. That's it, Cal, baby. Get this one all over you. The gang will be out there in the Bay Area having a good time. It's all about Cal tomorrow. And again, this guy, Jaden Ott.
Come on.
Get ready, boys and girls. Grab your popcorn. He can play for anybody in the country. He'll be hanging out with Eddie. Again, everybody locked up. And again, Justin Wilcox, new guy to know, too, did a tremendous job last year. So thanks to everybody. Great staff here at NC State. All the smart people back in Bristol, the movers and shakers and all that good stuff. Folks, enjoy it. It's adios from Raleigh, North Carolina.